Welcome back to the Agent Mentor Podcast. I'm your mentor, Mindi Kessenich. Today, we're going to talk about a book that I've been reading, which is The Let Them theory. Unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you've heard about Mel Robbins' latest life-changing book. And today, I wanted to share my thoughts on the Let Them theory through the lens of a real estate agent. So we're going to talk about how to apply this theory that I agree with her is absolutely life-changing. How do we apply that in our career in order to find more freedom? Because that's what I am always all about, is finding freedom in this beautiful career. So I have 7 different ways today in which we can let them so that we can let us. We can let ourselves be free from judgment and free from obligation and the pressure that we feel a lot of times from other agents, other clients, friends, family, whoever it may be. I think that this theory really, when we implement it and we are able to let them do what they need to, whoever they are, that allows us to be free, let ourselves be free from a lot of that pressure and judgment and obligations. We're going to go through 7 ways in which you can take this let them theory and apply it to your business. So let's get into it. Number 1, let them judge you for how you run your business. I always say that this industry is so interesting because we're supposed to be entrepreneurs and we're supposed to be building our own business and running our own businesses. However, a lot of us try to mimic or we try to copy other people and other agents that are doing things or finding the success that we want or need or desire, which to some degree is great. Like we definitely should take some tips from people who are doing it well and doing it in a way that we want to. But also it can be very damaging if you are taking in all of the opinions. There are a bajillion ways to skin the real estate cat, and it can be damaging when we are taking in so many opinions and letting other people's judgments or opinions of the way that we're doing things get in the way of what is right and authentic to us as individual real estate agents building our own businesses. So whether it's your process or your pace, lots of people have lots of opinions on how fast or how slow you should build a real estate business, right? It could be your marketing, your boundaries. There are lots of agents that do not have boundaries and probably will think you're crazy if you do implement them, especially early on. Some people just won't get it, and they will judge you for the way that you are running your business. Let them, okay? You don't need to shrink or shift to please the wrong people. You have to stay true to what works for you. I'm going to give you a really quick example of this. I have been doing this business for approximately 8 years, and when I tell another agent that is relatively seasoned that I don't have a traditional CRM, they literally look at me like my head has spun around on axis. I have never had a CRM, and never say never, but I doubt that I will ever have a CRM. I simply use Google Sheets. I don't have a business that is running on Zillow leads, so it's not like I have an ungodly amount of leads funneling in on any given day that I need some massive system to keep track of them. I am referral based, and Google Sheets works perfectly fine for me to keep track of my database. Again, that does not make sense to a lot of agents, and a lot of agents think I am absolutely crazy, and I have felt maybe potentially swayed a few times throughout my career that maybe they're right, maybe I do need this, and ultimately here I am still not having one and still feeling perfectly fine without it. So I think that's a great example of how we can let them judge us for how we're running our businesses if it's working for you. Number 2, this is a tough one. Let your friends and family not use you. This is a hit to the ego. I will admit that firsthand. And I'm not saying if somebody called me today and said, hey, I know you're my relative, but I'm going to use Joe Schmo to help me sell my house instead of you. I'm not saying it's not going to take a huge hit to my ego. I'm not saying that I'm going to be super happy about it or have a super positive attitude about it right away. But I'm also here to say, let them, because sometimes it's the protection from the clients that we really don't want or need in our business that we have to be the most grateful for. And sometimes this is a really great example for that. I think a lot of times we just assume that friends and family, like, why wouldn't they use us? Why wouldn't they think that we're going to take the best care of them, that we're going to do the best job, and that we're the best fit for them? And the reality is, buying and selling a house is a very emotional process. And I think in a really good agent-client relationship, there's a lot of transparency around finances and maybe just where somebody is personally. Maybe they're expecting a baby and they don't want family to know about it yet. Or the list could go on and on about their reason behind not wanting to use you. Just let them. I know it hurts and I know it sucks, but ultimately the pain and suffering that you're going to put yourself through by dwelling on them, the reasoning or the hurt or the betrayal that you may feel, is just going to slow you down. So as much as it's going to be difficult, you got to get over it and you got to just let them and understand that it's probably a blessing in disguise. And maybe you won't know about it now. Maybe you won't know about it ever. But I can also tell you that I've had a lot of friends and family use me as their real estate agent. And some of them, in hindsight, I wish they wouldn't have. I wish they would have hired a different real estate agent. Maybe my ego would have taken a hit, but my life would not have. So just take a deep breath, shed a tear if you need to, and then let them. Number 3, let your past clients work with somebody else. That one is also a really big hit on the ego. In fact, this happened to me last year, and it was a really hard blow because this is a client that I had nurtured. I had stayed in great contact with. We had done coffee dates. I had helped them when they were considering renting instead of selling, when they were relocating back to where they had moved from. I helped them get in touch with somebody that could help them analyze their rents and help get the information to their financial advisor so their financial advisor could help them decide which way they should go. Like I did all of the things and I did them all right, and they loved me. And then they ultimately decided to go with a flat fee real estate brokerage. I was grateful that they had the respect for me to at least call me and let me know that they had decided to go a different route instead of using me. But it hurt a lot, and it was in a really amazing neighborhood in the Madison area that I'd never listed a house in, that I was super excited to get my foot in the door for. And it was a really hard blow. And I didn't have the let them theory in my arsenal yet, but I actually used it anyways before I even knew about it, because I knew that if I spent too much time and energy feeling sorry for myself about these clients that I did a great job nurturing and helping that ultimately went a different direction, I knew it was just going to slow me down. And it was a busy time, and I just had to keep going. And ultimately, when you can let them and just get back to focusing on continuing to build and continuing to nurture and continuing to do all the things that you're supposed to be doing every day, and let them go on their way and not let it stop your momentum, you're going to win. Because all that's going to happen, like these things are unavoidable. Like I said, these clients loved me. It's not that I didn't do a good job for them. It's not that I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything wrong. I did everything right. And yet they still chose to go a different direction ultimately because of they thought it was going to save them money and commissions and whatever. That's another story for another day. But I couldn't have done anything different, and it was unavoidable. And so it was out of my control. The last thing I could or should have done in that moment was to dwell on it and let it slow me down from the momentum that I had been building. And that's what I did. And that's what I am trying to encourage you to do if and ultimately when this happens to you. Just let them bless and release and get back to building that network, building your business, get back to systems and processes, and keep doing the right things. Number 4, let them think you're not successful. And what do I mean by that? I think sometimes as real estate agents, we think that if we are not broadcasting to the world through social media or some other way, that we are closing deals, we're getting accepted offers, that we're doing all the right things, that people are going to think that we're not successful and they're not, and that we're not doing our job. Let them. I'm telling you, it's more important to let people think what they may think and not be cheesy and broadcasting all the time every little thing that you do that's your job. It's your actual job to show a house and get an accepted offer and write a contract. It's okay to do those things in silence. And if you think that people are going to think that you're not successful because you're not broadcasting that stuff, because maybe it's not authentic to the brand that you're building or the social media platform that you're trying to build and grow and whatever it may be, let them. Because as long as you know the truth, you know that you're successful, you know that you're putting food on the table for your family, that's all that matters. Let them assume what they want to assume and don't get caught up in the idea of what other people are thinking. Maybe you're having a dry spell. Maybe you have nothing to broadcast because there's nothing going on right now. That's okay. Let them think that there's nothing going on, and maybe there's not. What's most important is that you are continuing to follow your plan, your systems, your processes in order to build and grow. And don't worry what other people are assuming about your business. And the reason I bring this one up is because I still see so many people posting on social media, accepted offer and just sold. It's better to not post anything and let people assume that you're not doing anything than it is to post cheesy stuff on social media that is going to drive your traffic in the opposite direction. So either get more creative or let them think you're not busy, but don't post just sold, just accepted, boring, canned Instagram posts on your feed. Okay. Also, along with this, I just want to add, let them think you're unsuccessful if your numbers are not super remarkable or super impressive. I have gotten caught up in that in the past where I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I only sold that many houses and these agents sell that many houses a year and whatever. And it's like at the end of the year, if I'm able to live the lifestyle that I want to live, I'm able to take my family on vacation, and I'm able to find some work-life balance, that is much more important to me than having some super impressive numbers that I'm going to share with people who don't care and don't even know what that means. So that's another part of this. Let them think that you don't have impressive numbers. If you don't want to share them because they're not like super impressive, what's important is that you know that you're able to live the life that you want, that you're able to find success the way that you define it. And if it is not quote unquote impressive to other people, let them think that you're not successful, because you and I both know that this career offers some really incredible work-life balance opportunities if we can work towards them and seek them out and actually build them. having super impressive numbers is not always going to equal work-life balance. So figure out what those goals are. Is it to be super impressive, or is it to build a career and a business that you love and ultimately a life that you love? And if that's the case, let people think you're not successful if your numbers aren't super impressive. Who cares? That being said, number 5 might sound a little contradictory to number 4, but it's let people think you work too much or not enough. Whichever they think, because they're probably going to think one or the other, let them. Because if you are able to find some balance in your life and that you are able to prioritize the things that are most important to you, like time with your family, being able to attend your kids' school functions or sports functions or whatever that may be, and most importantly, you're able to really take good care of yourself, who cares what anybody else thinks? And I say this out of experience because, and sometimes we do work too much. Absolutely, there's a season within the year that we probably are working too much. And then there's probably a week or a month that we don't work enough, And if anybody is getting a snapshot into those little week or month stints in our business, they may have opinions that we work too much or that we work too little. And let them. Because what we know as real estate agents is as long as there's some sort of balance, it's not ever going to look balanced 365 days, right? Absolutely, there are months of the year and there are seasons of my yearly business that I do work too much. Absolutely. I'm working around the clock. I'm getting burnt out. However, it's very few and far between. And so, yeah, if my mom calls me and I'm like, yeah, I'm still working, I have 2 more hours to go and it's 8 p.m. at night, she's going to be like, you just work too much. But really, she doesn't know that a lot of the days of the year, I get up in the morning and I prioritize taking my kids to school and going for a run. And I prioritize a whole lot of things for myself and my family, my very busy, active kids and their sports schedules. I'm able to prioritize that most months of the year. So yes, there are times that I work too much. And if anybody is going to judge me on that little tiny snapshot of my business, I'm going to let them, because I know the truth. I know that most of the time I'm able to prioritize my personal health and well-being as well as my family's needs. And then I work when I have to outside of that. And I think that's a gift. So if somebody has opinions that you work too much or too little for what you make or whatever their opinions may be, let them. Unless it's true. And if it's true, fix it. The only opinion that matters is yours. So build your business around your priorities, your definitions of success, and your level of energy. And as long as you're doing that, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks you're doing as far as working too much or working too little. Number 6, let them think they can do it without you. So this is for any team leaders out there who may have agents that leave you. And this is for any agents out there that have clients that have decided to sell for sale by owner or a flat fee or something like that. We talked about this a little bit, but the bottom line is, if there are clients of yours that don't value you, don't believe that what you have to offer, what you have to provide is valuable enough to pay you what you're worth, what your fee is, let them. Because here's the deal, that in my experience, if you have to convince somebody that you're worth it, that you're valuable, if you have to convince them to work with you, you're never going to be able to make them happy, because they are already making up these reasons in their head. And guess what? Their reticulator activating system is going to find ways, whether it's you took too long to respond or you didn't get them an offer that they expected in 4 hours or whatever it may be. They're going to be constantly looking for evidence that they're right. So let them be right. Let them go their own way. Let them choose to hire whoever they want. Let them sell their house on their own. And again, just keep your blinders on. Keep focused on what you need to do to find the people who absolutely will appreciate and value and be more than willing and happy to pay for your services. Ultimately, we are never here to convince somebody to work with us. We want to compel people to work with us because we are here to serve, and we want to find the people that recognize that. And ultimately, our ideal client is the one that believes in us, believes in our abilities and our heart to serve, and thinks that we are worth it and are willing to then in turn refer us to their network and their friends and family. So those people that think they can do it without us, just let them. The seventh and final thing we're going to talk about is let them be on the fence. Let them be wishy-washy. Let them take their sweet damn time. I don't know about you, but I have certainly caught myself in a pattern of wasting my time, my energy, and my ability to go out and get more business by overly nurturing and trying to get somebody off of a fence. Just let them. I recently had this aha moment. Maybe it was the timing of the book, this book that I'm reading. I don't know. But I had a very frustrating client that I kept following up with every week. And every week they were like, yep, we're going to reach out to the lender. Yep, we're going to schedule this listing appointment. Yep, they're not going to do it. And if they are, they know I'm ready. They know I'm available. I presented everything to them that I can give them, provide them, the ways in which I will serve them well. And now I just have to let them. If they are going to take 7 months to actually do what they say they're going to do, I'm letting them. Because again, what it comes down to is when we don't let them, we stop ourselves from continuing to build and grow. Because we get so excited or so wrapped up in this one opportunity. It's like we're white knuckling it. We're like holding so tightly onto this one opportunity that there's no room or space for any other opportunities to come in. Let them take their sweet time. Let them be on the fence. Let them do whatever they need to do to get to the point where they're ready, and then you can serve. But stop trying to serve people who are just not ready to be served. Your job isn't to drag people across the finish line. It's not to yank people off the fence. It's not to rush people into a situation that they're not ready for. Your job is to educate, show your value, and to support them where they are and be that crutch for them as they need it until they get to the point where they're ready to go. But stop chasing down people that are clearly giving you all the telltale signs and symptoms, whatever, that they're just not ready. Let them be wishy-washy. Let them take their time, answer their questions, be the best supporter that you can, but don't close your fists around them, waiting for them to jump off the fence because they are an opportunity and they maybe raised their hand, because you are missing all of the other opportunities because you've got these blinders on and you are hyper-focused on this one person instead of continuing to build and grow. So let them all. And with that, we're going to let ourselves continue to work towards building this incredible, beautiful business that we love. Because when we let other people do whatever they're going to do and make whatever decisions they're going to make, and we just let them do that and we don't get tied up in them, that's when we keep growing. That's when we keep going. That's when we keep building momentum. It's really when we get stuck on any of these 7 things that we are slowed down and ultimately lose that momentum that we're always trying to build and grow in real estate. So I loved Mel Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory. I highly recommend reading it. Actually, I have not even gotten that far into it, but you don't need to get that far into it to really understand how life-changing this theory is, but she's just so great. I'm going to read her whole book, and I highly recommend that you do the same. Also, I would love to hear your feedback from this episode, so please reach out to me and let me know your thoughts and what other ways that you are implementing the Let Them theory. I hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you again next time on the Agent Mentor Podcast.